Greetings, fellow Zates and guests. My name is Stuart Bowers, and I'm the immediate past Phi Alpha of Zeta Psi. I'm here today during our 2021 virtual convention to introduce the winner of the James H. McLaughlin Interfraternity Service Award to Michael J. Freeman, a brother from my chapter, the Phi Epsilon chapter at the University of Maryland. I want to first give you some background of this award and brother Jim McLaughlin, for whom it is named. Jim graduated in 1952 from the Theta Xi chapter at the University of Toronto. He quickly became involved in the affairs of the international fraternity, culminating with his election as Phi Alpha from 1971 to 1974. He is one of the very few brothers to serve 3 terms as Phi Alpha. Jim got more involved in the interfraternal world, being asked to serve on the board of what was then known as the National Interfraternity Conference, or NIC. He continued to serve with the NIC, ultimately serving as president in 1980 to 1981, when he was instrumental in changing their name to the North American Interfraternity Conference. Jim truly believed in the power of the fraternity world and the effectiveness of fraternity groups working together to improve the experience for men in both the US and Canada. The James H. McLaughlin Award is not necessarily presented every year, but only when the awards committee feels the award is merited. The award can be presented to a Zate or non-Zate, but always to someone who has greatly impacted the interfraternal world, providing service to the greater fraternity movement and not just Zeta Psi. The award was created in 1982 and awarded Brother McLaughlin as the first recipient. Some of the other recipients are: in 2020, Robert Edgman; in 2018, Scott Pedersen; in 2011, Stephen Baker; in 2006, Peter Packarduni; in 1998, Jim Carey; in 1996, Kevin Shannon; in 1986, Gregory McElroy. Also, for the Phi Epsilon members in the audience, I will also point out that Dr. Drew Bagwell, then Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs at the University of Maryland, is a recipient of the award. Drew is a proud member of Phi Sigma Kappa, but in his role at Maryland, he was a huge advocate for a campus-wide fraternity and sorority life. Drew laid the foundation of the massively successful Greek life that exists today at Maryland. Drew also was an LTI presenter at many Zeta Psi conventions, where many Zates learned his 5-point rush plan and how to learn from the fraternity experience to be ready for the big real world. It's an honor today to present the James H. McLaughlin Interfraternity Service Award to Mike Freeman. I met Mike as a freshman going through Rush in 1977 and he remains one of my closest friends. Mike has received almost every other award from Zeta Psi. He served in many roles, culminating in his election as the 127th Phi Alpha of the fraternity and president of the Zeta Psi Educational Foundation from 2000 to 2002. He received the Distinguished Service Award in 2008 and the James J. Carey Leadership Award in 2019. During his service on the IHQ staff, Mike started the Leadership Training Institute, which continues strong today. More recently, he started the Zate for Life program, which he continues to spearhead. Mike was involved with the Alumni IFC at Maryland and then the National Capital Interfraternity Forum, where he served as president. Knowing the invaluable contributions the fraternity and sororities bring to students and alumni, Mike has always been a promoter of the Greek life experience and the wisdom that it brings to young men and women as they enter adult life. He's a natural-born Rush chairman. He certainly rushed and recruited me and has remained an active supporter of the Phi Epsilon chapter and the Greek system at Maryland. Mike is a highly successful financial advisor at Morgan Stanley and superbly blends his professional life with his dedication to fraternities. At Morgan Stanley, Mike has hosted many Zates as interns, as well as those from other fraternities and sororities and student athletes and more. He loves introducing the financial services world to students and recent grads, and is always willing to coach, mentor, or counsel young people interested in the business. Mike's sons, both Maryland's eights, are now part of Team Freeman, a large Morgan Stanley team recognized by Barron's for their great work with their clients. Zeta Psi and the larger interfraternity world have all benefited from Mike's leadership and support. Congratulations, Mike, on receiving the James H. McLaughlin Interfraternity Service Award.
Thank you, Brother Bowers, for that gracious introduction. As Stuart mentioned, our association together goes back a long way. And I can truly say that the day you walked into the Zeta House as a rushee was one of the best days of my life, and certainly one of the best days for Zeta Psi overall. For me, receiving the James H. McLaughlin Interfraternity Service Award is another great day in my life, and it's one that I'll long remember, and I'm truly grateful and humbled to be a recipient. I've been around long enough to know all the previous winners, and including the man the award is named after, James H. McLaughlin. My first job after graduating from the University of Maryland in 1978 was joining the staff of Zeta Psi and being a chapter consultant. As I worked as a chapter consultant, I had an opportunity to get to know Jim, and I can tell you that very early on, I learned an important lesson about brotherhood from him. And for those who ever had the privilege to meet Jim McLaughlin, I can tell you that it wasn't necessarily his words, but it was in his deeds, his actions that really showed you what brotherhood really was about. In my situation, I had planned a fishing trip with 3 other fraternity brothers up to the Georgian Bay in Canada, and we were going to be going through Jim's hometown of Toronto. So I called Jim and asked him if he had any recommendations of things for us to see and do while we were there. We had a day to spend in Toronto. And without hesitation, Jim said, well, I can give you some ideas, but I will tell you that you're going to end the day with me. I'm going to take you to dinner. We'll have a great time. I'll tell you a little bit about Toronto. And we did have a wonderful evening. He was the most generous host. He took care of everything. And he didn't have to take his time to meet with me and 3 other Zates that he had never met before. But we had a lovely evening. And I learned an important lesson at that point, that that's really what brotherhood in our international fraternity is all about. You treat people the way that you'd want to be treated, and it truly is brothers. And I also saw through Jim and his work as the leader of the North American Interfraternity Conference how important it was that all of us as Greeks work together for the betterment of all. So he really was quite a wonderful man, a mentor, and it means a lot for me to have an award on my wall that I'll put with his name on it. Although I left the official staff of Zeta Psi at the end of 1980 to pursue my career as a financial advisor, I never really have stopped working for Zeta Psi and its members whenever I've been given the opportunity to do so. I came back to DC and I became involved with my own chapter at the University of Maryland. I became the Beta Pi, the alumni chapter advisor. And through that role with the chapter, I got involved with the University of Maryland's Alumni IFC. And from that place, I met people from other fraternities and sororities who were in the same situation as alumni advisors, and we shared our issues and thoughts and concerns, and we worked together to try to help each other, because we knew that the stronger the Greek system, the better it would be for all of us. Through that association with the University of Maryland's IFC, I also learned of another organization, the National Capital Interfraternity Forum, which was made of members of fraternities from all over the country, and we all got together in DC trying to identify members of Congress and their staff members who were Greeks, and we actually started to host a reception at Capitol Hill to try to bring them together to see if we might have some positive influences on legislation that might help fraternities and sororities all over. I'm very proud to see that after my role as president, our past Phi Alpha Jim Carey took over the reins, and that organization really took off and has become a very much more successful organization since then. I know that we as Greeks have to work hard to overcome the stereotypes that often are negatively publicized in the papers and everywhere, and it's important for us to work together to try to offset those things. Whenever I'm given the opportunity to speak at the University of Maryland or any other Greek system, fraternity, sorority, conventions, leadership schools, which I've been able to do over time, I'm happy to do so, because I know that the better we all are together, the better off for the whole fraternal world. Again, thank you so much for the honor of being a recipient of the James H. McLaughlin Interfraternity Service Award. I'll find a prominent spot for it on my wall, and I'm going to continue to work hard every day to remain a deserving recipient. Thank you so much.